Hey, everybody, welcome back. Craig Schaup here with George Thomas, our film critic from the Akron Beacon Journal. George is here. The holidays are upon us, and you have some big movies to discuss today. George, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Big movies, huh? Yeah, okay.
Big in theory, but maybe who knows? We'll see. The first one, though, is one of the more anticipated. I guess I don't know. I don't know if it's as anticipated as it has been in the past, but Avatar: Fire and Ash, the third in the Avatar series that started way back in 2009. Seems like a long time ago since we've seen that cutting edge James Cameron technology, and here we get the threequel. I wonder if we're running out of steam here. I want to know your thoughts, but is this Avatar franchise, does it need to go away or should it continue going?
Well, it doesn't matter. It's not going anywhere. I think they're on the hook for 5 total films. You talk about how long ago it was. You want to know how long ago that was? I saw the original Avatar when I was covering the Cavs in a theater in Oakland, California.
Yeah.
That's how long ago it was. So, has it run out of steam? Nah, I don't know. The only thing Cameron really has to do is move his story forward at this point. Now, the question is
Yeah.
whether the story is all that compelling. And I guess that depends on whether you like blue. I don't want to call them aliens but blue. I don't want to call them creatures, but blue people.
Blue people, yeah.
And exploring the culture that he creates. And let's face it, you've got to have a great imagination to build a culture from scratch.
Yeah.
And in the second film, he showed us the water people of Navi. I mean, Jake Sully, and I'm not going to go into Avatar history. That's just too convoluted. But Jake Sully's Navi people are people of the forest. This time, they deal with people. I don't know if you call it the desert, but they worship a fire god. Thus, fire and ash. There we go. Does he move the narrative forward? Yeah. Does he move it forward in a compelling way that makes you look forward to, I think it's 2028?
So there, George, there. I think you froze a little bit, or maybe I froze, but keep going.
Does he move the narrative forward enough to make you look forward to 2028 or 29? I don't know which one it is, in 2030 something. And I don't know. I mean, at 3 hours and 15 minutes, a lot of the film, and I gave it a B. I did, because it held my interest, but it feels bloated at 3 hours and 15 freaking minutes.
Yeah.
You can pick spots that he could have easily lopped out. But he's James Cameron.
Right.
And with the name James Cameron comes a lot of power.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it. And, who's going to tell him no? I mean, Disney, via acquisition of 20th Century Fox, has a lot hanging on this.
They do.
And they're going to let him do his thing until his thing is run out of steam.
Yeah. I think one of the things that made Avatar so interesting when it did come out in 2009 was it really seemed very groundbreaking in the technology. I don't know that I felt that same way for, The Way of Water. I don't know if you feel the same way here for Fire and Ash, but does it feel like, if it's not so technologically advanced for cinema, that it's really kind of unnecessary? Because we know, you take for granted, but it's going to look gorgeous. It's going to have some visual effects that are going to stun. But at the end of the day, I think the technology that advanced from Avatar to now, it doesn't seem as monumental as it did from when Cameron really waited to make this movie so the technology could catch up. It almost seems like other people, like a Christopher Nolan, are kind of utilizing jumps in technology a little bit more, but maybe I'm wrong. How do you kind of see that?
I went back and I looked at my 4K Blu-ray of the original. You can see it. This was the night I saw the film in the theater. You can see the difference. There are leaps in what he's accomplished. I find it curious though that Cameron is out there campaigning against AI when this is kind of, I don't want to call it AI, but it's the use of technology to create the entire world. He's the world of Pandora. I mean, he's basically directing people in green suits, capturing their emotions and overlaying, whatever you want to call it. That I find that interesting. But are there advances? Yeah. The question is, how many times can we say, "Ooh, pretty, looks nice," and that's the big problem with this. It's like you said when we started. It's going to look visually stunning. You know it.
Yeah, I feel like, and I don't know, obviously Disney will have some form of a thought on what this needs to make in order to continue the franchise. I'm guessing, I know some people might say it needs to make well over $2 billion to profit. Maybe it doesn't, maybe it does. But do you feel like it's going to be that touchstone of the box office like the other two were, where they made, the first two movies have made well over $2 billion a piece? Do you feel like this one's going to continue that, or do you think that this one might signal the end and fall short a little bit of that $2 billion total?
Okay. When did the last one come out? Correct me.
2022.
So it's post-pandemic.
Yeah.
And people were looking for a reason to go back to the theaters.
Right.
People aren't necessarily looking for a reason to go back to theaters unless it's a good movie now. Yeah. Now, from what I've seen, reviews on this have been middling so far.
That's, yeah.
Including, like I said, I gave it a B, but it was a very tepid B. There are degrees to these things.
Yeah.
2 billion. A lot of that is going to hinge on international, I think.
Yeah.
I think one of the films did $1 billion domestic. I think the original did $1 billion domestic when it was released.
No, it only did 785, which is great, but it also did 2.1 billion internationally. The Way of Water did 688 domestic, 1.5 billion international. So obviously there was a step down, and I'm sure there's going to be a step down here just because of how that happened.
You can probably take 10 to 15% off that box office.
Yeah. And, at the same time, if James Cameron comes to you and says, I want to keep making these, now I think he's even said that if the movie flops, he's willing to kind of let it go. But at this point, you're probably going to reinvest, because you're going to maybe you try to tamp down a little bit on the costs. I don't know if you can do that with James Cameron, but at the end of the day, if he wants to make 4 and 5, why not? Right.
I think there's too much curiosity in how the story ends for it to flop. Yeah. I really do. And you know what? I'm kind of curious too, because they do take it in some fascinating directions that I don't want to spoil. There are the obvious ones. There were obvious ones like his nemesis, his former commanding officer, becoming a Na'vi at the end of The Way of Water.
Right.
What happens there? You can almost predict what's going to happen, but there are some instances where he still manages to drive home his message of anti-corporatism, being environmentally responsible, and trashing colonialism. Those are all still there. They're there to a lesser extent this time, which just tells me 4 and 5 are going to ramp it up down the line, given what happens in this movie. Like I said, I don't want to spoil it.
And also maybe you could spoil, though, for me especially, is the Odyssey trailer attached to Avatar?
You know, I'm not gonna lie, I got a special Critics' Choice Association screening.
Okay. No trailers.
No trailers. There were just
Okay.
10 of us from the Cleveland area in the theater. So
Okay. Okay. Well, I know the prologue would not be attached to this, although I'm very disappointed. In Nashville, we had a theater that was curated, updated by Christopher Nolan, and they didn't even screen the One Battle After Another or Sinners 70 millimeter prints that would have had the 6-minute prologue. I'm just going to stop complaining about not seeing anything related to the Odyssey because I lost the opportunity. I think it was it Superman or something? It was supposed to have had it, and it was a teaser, but still very disappointed that I haven't seen any of these frames yet of the Odyssey. But maybe we'll check out Avatar. Now we move on to a movie. This is a movie that I remember talking about, when we were doing some of the fall movie previews. Song Sung Blue. This movie kind of came out of nowhere, and you're talking about a pretty good cast with Hugh Jackman, Kate Hudson, Craig Brewer directing. And this movie just all of a sudden appeared on the schedule for the holiday season. And it just seemed like from just out of thin air that this movie was made. But we've got a lot of talent attached to this. There was a little bit of Oscar buzz for some of the acting. You finally have seen it. So what is your thought here on Song Sung Blue?
You know what? They're having a screening at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Museum in Cleveland right now.
Okay.
I passed on going to that because I got a link. I got a screener, and I had to knock out all my reviews before vacation. So that's what I did. It's getting all that buzz because it's a crowd pleaser. Period.
Yeah.
This is a good old-fashioned crowd pleaser where you basically root for everyone. And right. You root for especially for the main characters played by Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson, a couple who put together the Neil Diamond experience. Did I mention the soundtrack is great? I was exposed to some Neil Diamond. Some Neil Diamond I have not been exposed to before. And I really love the soundtrack. And Hugh Jackman did a lot of the singing, which is a thrill. But they put together this tribute band, the Neil Diamond experience, gather this wild following in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and tragedy strikes. And they have to, and I'm not spoiling anything. I'm just saying tragedy strikes. They have to overcome the tragedy, and it's borderline soap opera-ish, but you know what? It's very, very likable with great performances from Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson. Love the music, obviously. But it's in the vein of something you might have seen back when they were making real movies.
Yeah. Right. No, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
And on that level, I enjoyed it. Again, you're looking at something, and what's telling to me is, you remember the last couple of years when Christmas Day has been like a dumping ground?
It has been, yeah.
It's not this year.
Right.
Because you're getting this, and you're getting the movie we'll talk about in a minute, both on Christmas Day. Yeah. And this is the type of film, where sorry about that.
You're okay.
This is a type of film where after Christmas dinner, if you eat an early Christmas dinner, everybody's vacated your home or you vacated somebody else's home, and you got nothing else to do, and there's nothing. Well, this day and age, there's no such thing as nothing on television because
Right.
you can stream anything you want. But if you want to get out of the house and the weather is decent enough, you got choices. And this is
Yeah.
one of them. And it's a decent choice. This is something I would have paid money to see on a
Yeah.
Christmas day. So I
Yeah.
don't be surprised if it does very well over the
Okay.
course of that weekend.
Well, it'd be good to see that. Like you said, these are kind of the movies that used to get made that just kind of get squeezed out a little bit nowadays with production budgets and how studios react to things. But you're right. This is maybe one of those movies that could be a nice little Christmas Day surprise and a good weekend. Obviously, they're going to have to contend with Avatar, and I don't know. Maybe we can get my wife to go to Anaconda on Christmas Day. Who knows? But you never know. But I think it's good to see that Christmas Day is no longer sort of just a dumping ground for limited release or bad movies. I think we finally get an opportunity to have if you do want to go to a movie Christmas Day, that there is an option out there for almost anybody probably to find something that maybe they might fall for on the holiday. But another Christmas Day, as you tease there, a great tease there from George Thomas, is Marty Supreme. This is a big-time Oscar hopeful. It has racked up a lot of nominations, a lot of critical success so far. Josh Safdie teaming up with Timothée Chalamet, who is getting a ton of buzz for Best Actor. This is a movie that's getting a ton of buzz for a lot of Oscar nominations. But what say you, George?
Oh, the problem is it's up against one battle after another this year.
which streams tomorrow on HBO Max. What a great early Christmas present there from HBO Max. I was thinking that they would wait for one battle after another until like January or February or something. So I'm very glad that they're getting it out there already.
What say I?
Yeah.
The Marty in this movie is 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you were like at 23, but my frontal lobe was still stunted. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's weird to say this, but I compare it to a coming of age film like Almost Famous.
Okay.
In a very different vein. It's weird. It's terribly original in that Josh Safdie uses ping pong as a backdrop for this story. And for a film that's 2 hours and 15 minutes, I think, the pacing is relentless. You're never bored. You're never looking at your watch. And the story is compelling because Marty, played by Timothée Chalamet, is this wannabe ping pong master in the 60s when he thinks ping pong is going to fill U.S. stadiums as the next great spectator sport.
Yeah.
And he will do anything to fulfill his goal of winning the world championship. He sells his soul. He sells out friends. He sells out family. He steals from family, all in the goal and with the single-mindedness of achieving this one goal of playing in the world championships in China, I believe, or Japan. Escapes me. I watched the movie 2 weeks ago. Great performance by Timothée Chalamet. The Oscar buzz is real. He's not going to win. The more
you don't think so?
No, the more and more I think about it, I think that's going to Leo or Michael B. Jordan. But what the hell do I know, right?
Okay. Well, hey, I wouldn't be opposed to those.
But it's a study in watching someone grow up before your eyes, because the atrocities he commits in this film. Now, I'm not meaning, well, technically some of them are criminal, but it's tragically comic. That's the best way to put it. Or comically tragic. However you want to phrase that.
Yeah.
And the direction is crisp. Performances are tremendous. And again, you've got a choice on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And go to a double feature if you can.
I will try my best to persuade my wife. We'll see.
but see what? The Christmas is on Thursday. It's a week
Yeah.
from tomorrow. So there you go. You got Thursday,
Okay.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Rock and roll.
Right. Yeah. What's your final grade for Marty Supreme? Does it meet your Oscar buzz?
Marty Supreme is on my phase list for the end of the year.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. You mentioned earlier when we were talking about before we got on air about some of the awards shortlists for Oscars, Critics' Choice, which is something that you vote for every year, just came out and will be, here before we know it when they give out those awards January 4th. But what was there anything particular that you wanted to talk about with the short lists or any of the awards that we're looking at so far going into the Oscar season?
Well,
or anything stand out to you?
What stands out is that Wicked is getting a very tepid response. It's making some lists. In some instances, I'm surprised because I think it made the AFI's list.
It did, yeah.
And it's like, really? And I have to look at it from a film aspect, and they're probably looking at it more from a technical aspect than anything else.
Yeah.
So part of me gets that. I noticed it's been left off some lists. It's interesting in that there doesn't really, and this is why, other than One Battle After Another, there isn't a real consensus for anything out there. And if you look at the assorted societies across the country, the critic societies, like I think DC handed out lion's share of its awards for Sinners, or maybe that was Michigan. Check it out. Don't quote me on either one of those, but one of them did. Boston, I think it was One Battle After the Other. It's all over the place. So, that stands out to me. I think the acting awards, nominations wise, are going to be all over the place, but there seems to be a building consensus for Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
As Best Actor. I don't think the Best Actress category has a consensus yet. I haven't really paid attention to supporting categories.
How do you view that? I know there's obviously always going to be those annual association lists. Some are gonna, maybe gravitate toward like a One Battle After Another. Some might say Marty Supreme. Some might say Sinners. Do you feel like that's fool's gold at this point, or do you feel like it's kind of like this is one battle after another, and whoever wants to finish second can finish second? Or do you feel like those critics groups that have diverted to other films maybe means that there could be some steam for Sinners to get back in the race, or when Marty Supreme gets its public release, that maybe there'll be a little bit more publicity for it?
I think it's a 2-film race between One Battle After Another and Sinners, which puts Warner Brothers in a bind. Warner Brothers needs to be in a bind. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. Well, they've earned it.
So there we go. It's like you ignored theatrical for so long, but now you've got an abundance of riches, and you probably don't know what the hell to do with it.
Yeah.
Who are you going to offend?
I honestly, from my personal perspective, I would probably hitch my wagon to One Battle After Another, my personal thought. But I would also maybe ensure that I'm hitching my wagon to people like Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler, and making sure that you're continuing the push to get those nominations. Obviously, I think Coogler is kind of a shoo-in at this point, but Michael B. Jordan could be on that cut line maybe for Best Actor. And I hope that Warner Brothers makes sure that they're putting as much time and effort and money into Michael B. Jordan for his performances as they do with DiCaprio and Sean Penn and Benicio del Toro and Tiana Taylor and Chase Infinity and all the people at One Battle After Another that are surely going to be in that race for the Oscar in their respective categories. But I think that Warner Brothers can play this right, and they're going to win probably either way. Like you said, it's kind of a 2-film race, but By the end of Oscar night, I think Warner Brothers should be very happy. And I think both, Sinners and One Battle After Another will be happy because I think they're both going to win several trophies by the end of that night.
Here's the question: When was the last time a major studio won Best Picture? A24 has won the last what?
Well, Neon won with Anora last year.
That wasn't okay.
Wow, that's a good question. Well, Oppenheimer won from
Universal. Oppenheimer. There we go. How many years has that been? 2 or 3?
Well, that's two.
Yeah.
So, and then everything, everywhere, all at once was A24, was it not? Coda was Apple. Nomadland was Indie. Parasite, of course. Green Book, I'm not sure what.
That was Universal.
Okay. And then The Shape of Water, and then Moonlight, and then Spotlight. So those are the last several there. But, it's been few and far between for the studio game. Obviously, Oppenheimer was that, at that time, that sort of rare studio movie that was great while also making a ton of money. And obviously, you have a similar situation where you have two really just standout films that also both made money. Now you can, I guess, argue it One Battle After Another didn't make enough or whatever, but I don't care about that. But yeah, I think Warner Brothers is in line for a win here. I guess the only way that I could see it not really being in line with one of those two films is if Marty Supreme just absolutely has an overwhelming reaction from the public. We know that the critics have liked it and it's done well on the festival circuit. But at this point, you would have to almost have like this overwhelming push from the public to say, yeah, Marty Supreme is that good. It's way better than, two great original movies like Sinners and One Battle After Another.
Now, see, here's the thing. I think if there's any kind of audience push, it's going to be for Sinners.
Yeah.
Because
yeah, I can see that.
Because Paul Thomas Anderson is as much as we love him,
mm-hmm.
never been anybody's cup of tea.
Right.
Mainstream wise. And I
think he's the Academy's cup of tea though.
Yeah,
I think the Academy finally knows, like, okay, we've waited long enough. It's and it wouldn't have been as good if they would have we'll give PTA this award because he's earned it over his career. But One Battle After Another is really a great movie, and it's definitely deserving of PTA getting that Best Picture, Best Director, Screenplay, everything that he could get, kind of like Sean Baker did last year with Anora. So yeah, it could, but there could be that consensus, public push for Coogler because, a lot of people really gravitated towards Sinners, I think. And, it'll be an interesting race and see where maybe Warner Brothers tries to put some of its muscle behind. My guess is it will be One Battle After Another because it just has that like Paul Thomas Anderson prestige to it. And I think that they want to almost kind of ensure that when PTA does want to go back to the well and make another movie, that maybe he'll call Warner Brothers and say, let's do it again. Because I think they've already kind of got Coogler. Coogler can do whatever he wants, obviously, at this point. He's in that territory as a director. But I think that, he'll probably align with Warner Brothers on like non-Black Panther projects, things like that.
I agree. And I'm torn as to which one I want to see do best in end of the year awards. I really am.
I think they're both going to do well. I don't know if it'll be equally well, but I do think they'll both do well overall. The big major awards, though, I think, you're probably looking at One Battle After Another, but Sinners is going to do pretty well, I think. I guess it could be one of those, Killers of the Flower Moon, where it's really well received, and then maybe it gets like 10, 11 nominations, but doesn't win. But I still think it's going to find ways to win, whether it's like cinematography. I still would prefer the score for Sinners over One Battle After Another. I think
look, if there's a lot, if if there's a lock, it's on score and
I don't know though, because there's a lot of people that loved the Johnny Greenwood score, and he's another one of those, like, he's never won an Oscar. Ludwig Göransson just won for Oppenheimer, so do you give him another award?
oh hell
But
yes,
I
give him
still
another
feel like
award.
Sinners music was so integral to that movie, and the score was so integral to that movie.
Absolutely. And see,
I would even make the argument that I Lied to You should win for best original song, although I don't know if it will beat Wicked at this point.
no, wait. That's a lock too.
No, but from my personal opinion, it's way better. But you know how the Academy tends to,
What the
you
hell
know.
are they going to give it to Wicked for?
I'm telling you, I wouldn't be shocked. I bet I wouldn't be shocked if Wicked gets 2 nominations in that category, even though I don't think any of the songs, I
I
don't even
don't.
remember any of them until I read their names again, and I'm like, oh yeah, that song was in that movie, wasn't it?
Well, here's how many original songs written for it?
Well, they had the Girl in the Bubble, they had the which is I think one of the favorites. And
Yeah,
then the one that Cynthia Erivo, like No Place Like Home or whatever it was called, the that song where she was in her castle with the monkeys getting ready to do whatever they were going to do. But
good on them. That's the only play they have, and guess what? It's still going to. I like, and I'd
I
argue.
hope it does. I hope it does.
I'd even argue that Pale Pale Moon should be nominated too.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you could probably have a whole category for just Sinners. I really, really hope that it does win. But there was, and I think maybe because, like you said, that tepid response to Wicked, maybe it won't guarantee themselves categories like it did last year, like costume and set design, things like that. Because I think now people are like, well, it looks fine, and I thought it looked really good. I mean, there wasn't anything wrong with costuming and art direction, set design, things like that. But it also just kind of reminded me of, it just felt like last year's movie too. And I hope that they don't just say, well, we need to award that for last year's movie because that won last year, so this has to win this year. I wouldn't even say that. I think maybe in a year where it's a little down for the supporting and female lead actress, maybe there might be a case that in a good year you wouldn't carry those 2 actresses over Erivo and Grande into their categories, even though they give great performances. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was, was it anything special compared to the first one? The first one they gave great performances too, and they were obviously nominated, but a lot of people think that Grande is going to win supporting actress.
You know what I call those people?
What?
Delusional.
Well, there's all that herd voting. They're just going to go with the herd. Like, well, Grande was emotional and it looked like she might have cried during a scene or two, so let's give her, a supporting actress. But
Let's give her a clean.
Doesn't have to go that way. Well, I know that.
Cleaner.
I wanted to ask you, there were some standout movies. I didn't see a ton of movies this year, although there's still some quite a few on the list. But I know you saw some great movies this year, and I think you gave out more A minuses this year than I can remember since we've been doing this. Talk about some of your favorites.
It was a weird year. I mean, I went back and I had to reference everything that I linked on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
And I was shocked by the number of A minuses I gave out. Obviously, anything I gave an A minus to had to make my favorites list. And that started back in, what was it, February or March?
Yeah, Black Bag.
Yeah. And it's like a lot of people have forgotten that movie 9 months later. And that's a crying shame.
Right.
And I had to put it there, and I still think it's one of the best movies of the year. Jay Kelly. And part of me, it pains me because let's see, 1, 2, 3. I think I have 4 Netflix movies on this list.
Okay. I'm assuming Frankenstein as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And that pains me in a way because I never thought I'd see the day.
Yeah.
And Frankenstein was just I'm disappointed that I didn't see that on the hugest freaking screen.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
I really am. Um, Hamnet, just a wonderful anti-Shakespeare in Love kind of experience.
Hmm.
As funny as Shakespeare in Love was and satirical as it was, this was just wonderfully, terribly tragic and
Yeah.
poetic. Obviously, one battle after another. Just vintage
Yeah.
PTA.
It is.
Because I'm a homer and because Superman was filmed here, yeah, it made my best list.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, I only kind of liked it after I saw it in theaters, but the more I thought about it, there were some really standout moments, and it was uneven at times, but it was a lot of fun though too, and there was a lot of crowd pleasing moments as we've talked about today. It was better than upon looking at it again, it was better than the first time I saw it.
Yeah, again, I've watched it a few times since. And
Yeah,
it sticks with you, and it's like
it does.
I
It
don't know if
does.
you took a look at the Supergirl teaser.
I have, yeah. It looks
And
very good.
I you thought so too. And the thing is, what's brilliant about it, and we're gonna digress a little bit here. And the first thing I notice is, you know what? And I forget who directs it. I don't remember who
Greg
wrote
Gillespie is
it. Okay.
directing I, Tanya.
The first thing I thought is, you know what? They're doing with Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, what Zack Snyder did with Superman, and make her this conflicted kind of character,
Hmm.
only in a more, I don't want to call it comedic, but a more lighthearted way.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's pretty clear she's in conflict from that trailer,
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
I love the use of "Call Me" in that trailer.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
it
great.
definitely looks good, and I'm very interested to see. Now, obviously, there might be quasi uncertainty with the DC universe at this point with the potential sale for Netflix, but I think we're just going to take it as it comes. And Supergirl does look a lot of fun, and I liked how they teased her in Superman, getting her character out there and kind of giving us an idea of what to expect. The wholesome Superman versus the not so wholesome Supergirl, which will be fun. So I'm kind of interested to see how it all plays out. And obviously, another fun standout was Crypto from Superman, and of course he'll be in Supergirl as well. So there's a lot to look forward to there.
I don't know that I'm as worried about Warner Brothers though as
Yeah.
I would have been if Paramount gets them, because
You
essentially
think
when
it would have been worse for Paramount?
huh?
You think it would have been worse if Paramount had
Oh
swooped
yeah,
in?
absolutely. Because
Okay.
Paramount has filmmaking infrastructure already. Netflix does not.
Yeah.
That's the one that really comes across. Obviously, they're paying for that library too.
Sure. Oh yeah, yeah,
But
definitely.
they're paying for filmmaking apparatus. They're
Yeah.
paying for that infrastructure. And
Okay.
you invest that kind of money, I don't think it's going anywhere. Where we might have issues is with theatrical windows and release dates and
Right.
how
Yeah.
it conflicts with streaming.
Yeah.
But I think they're equally as interested in the filmmaking apparatus as much as
Okay. Well, we'll hope so. And then obviously Sinners would be on your one of your faves as well from this year.
Oh, absolutely.
It seems like it was a good year. I mean, how would you kind of characterize it? Obviously, I know it was maybe a little uneven. There's obviously you're not going to have regretting you on your faves list. So there was some unevenness to the year, but that's how you're going to get that every year. But like we said, you had quite a few A- movies on there, and you don't usually hand those out very often. So it seemed like it was, at least at the top, the year was pretty solid.
My opening line and my urine story is as a whole. it's easy to write that 2025 was a good year for film. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a good year for box office, but there weren't a lot of bad movies that I saw. I'm sure they are out there, but I didn't see many of them.
Yeah. I think it's always easy and kind of lazy too to say, "Oh, it was a bad year in film" or something. I think it's always the easy thing for critics or anybody to say. It may not be as deep as there was in some years, and that's sort of, we're kind of getting out of the post-COVID. I think next year, at least in the blockbuster terms, we're getting a lot of blockbuster movies released next year. So it seems like we're kind of fully now getting out of that post-COVID, uncertainty about, investment into film. Obviously, there's a lot of big movies scheduled for next year. Obviously, it could go either way on some of the, is Dune and Avengers Doomsday going to release on the same day in December? I doubt it. But it's interesting, though, that maybe studios are willing to go back at it now against each other at the box office. Whereas before it's like, we'll take that week off and we'll just, switch to the fall or earlier in the summer, whatever it may be. Now, I would think between the two of them, maybe Dune might go back into the spring of 27 like it did in the spring of last year after it was supposed to come out in the fall of the previous year. So I wouldn't be shocked if Dune maybe decides to push off of that date, or if it's done, maybe it comes out a little sooner in the fall. But it's just exciting to get that idea that there are actually some blockbusters. Christopher Nolan's going to be back in theaters. There's going to be a new Spider-Man. So there's a lot to look forward to in 2026. But how would you what are you looking forward to in the new year of movies, aside from that great January release schedule that we always get?
You know what? I was so big. I haven't looked beyond the end of this year.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at the calendar. And I won't until I get back from vacation. I don't know. I can tell you that. Oh, the Avengers are coming out. Okay.
Yeah.
If a new Spider-Man is coming out next year, cool. I'm down with that. Those have been mostly well done. I like those movies a lot. Until I didn't realize I needed to see Supergirl until I saw that trailer.
Yeah.
I need to see Supergirl. It's not even debatable. Beyond that, I'm going to take a look at the schedule. January 2, and I'm going to go from there.
Yeah. Well, I know you also watched a lot of TV. Were there any TV shows or anything that stood out in 2025 for you?
The only network show other than Hell's Kitchen, there's my guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
That I watch reliably and it's maintained its quality because I still laugh at it. Is that Abbott Elementary? Mm-hmm. A lot of network television is just hooey now.
Yeah.
Most of what I liked were limited series.
Yeah.
Dope Thief with Brian Tyree Henry on Apple TV Plus. A lot of them were Apple series. Right. The James Garfield assassination movie or limited series is just brilliant. And if I had written a top television series article, that would be there.
Okay.
And see, that's how good they were. They roll off the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the one that stood out for me is The Rehearsal, season 2. That show from season 1, which was 3 years ago. I mean, season 2 was so great. And I wondered how could they top season 1, and they probably did in a lot of ways because season 2 was so entertaining, but also so informative as well. That I really hope that people find The Rehearsal because what Nathan Fielder does is just so unique on TV.
As an homage or honoring you, the studio would have made my list.
The studio was a lot of fun, and I can't wait for that to come back. One of the best first episodes of a series that I've ever seen in that, you get Martin Scorsese to cry. You've got a movie about Kool-Aid. It was a real treat of a show.
You know what? I wish and it recently released its third season, and had I discovered it sooner, because my wife and I have just been binge watching it. The Diplomat on Netflix
Okay.
with uh Felicity, Carrie,
Kerry Washington?
no,
Nope.
Carrie,
Carrie Coon?
no,
No?
hold on, let's see, the old IMDb,
Oh, Kerry Russell.
yes, and Rufus Sewell, a
Yeah.
very distinguished British actor who's never gotten his due.
Nope.
Had I discovered that from the beginning, I would have been all over it
Right.
this year. And we didn't start watching till last week. It's on its third season, released a few weeks ago, and it's absolutely brilliant. It makes me laugh. It makes me go, WTF?
Yeah.
All of that.
All right. Well, I mean, there's plenty of things to watch, whether it's in theaters for this holiday season or on streaming. George, as always, another great year with you. I'm so thankful to be able to spend that time with you and talk movies and streaming and all things pop culture. We hope you have a great time off, and we will get back at it next year. And until then, we hope you have fun at the movies.
I'm going to try. And you know what? I think we're going to end up missing. Uh, damn. Never mind. I'm not going to choke up. Rob Reiner.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw your column on that. Such a tragic loss. You know, made one of my favorite movies of all time. This is Spinal Tap. Just a tremendous talent, great filmmaker, and even an actor as well. You know, he just was a star for so many years, and such a tragedy to lose him in that way. And you know, obviously our thoughts are with his family and hoping that they'll have some comfort. But just a tragic loss in the industry. And I know you've interviewed him.
I mean, he's made 7 or 8 movies I've considered classics. And mind you, I'm not a big Princess Bride guy, but you know, that first 7, and I wrote this, that first 7 film run. This is Spinal Tap, The Sure Thing. I can't name them all. It's just unparalleled in the history of movies.
Yeah.
And you know, they're all 5-star films, depending on how you rate things. They really are. It's like, and even when he was deemed off by critics and fans, he was still on because the American President is one of my favorite, you know, it defied genre. It's political and it's a rom-com and it's a drama and it was, let's call it, because it was written by Aaron Sorkin, a precursor to The West Wing. I'm sure there's some basis for The West Wing in that film.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, such an immense talent, a titan of comedy. Just like I said, this is Spinal Tap is just one of my favorite. It's my favorite comedy, but it's just one of my favorite movies that I could watch over and over again. And I know that the sequel that he just made is on HBO Max, and I didn't get a chance to see it in theaters, but I definitely will try to check that out as well. But yeah, such a tough loss at this time of the year, but. You know, I'm glad you're able to share some thoughts, and I know that you interviewed him, so it's you know, I know it definitely has to hit close to home for you.
Well, and the thing is, it's nice to, like, I spent 15 minutes with him.
Yeah.
You know, and even from that brief 15 minutes, I got the impression that this is just a fundamentally good person.
Sure.
And it's nice to know, because other than a certain someone who had stuff to say after the fact, a lot of people could have been coming out of woodwork to say, well, he wasn't all he pretended to be. that hasn't happened.
No, yeah. Even people on that side of the fence have come to his defense as like just being a wonderful human being.
And I'm glad that my antenna was correct back then. But
Yeah, absolutely. Well, unfortunately, the year ends on a sour note in Hollywood, but we definitely hope you have a great holiday, everybody. And George, we will be back again early next year for some more reviews of great January release movies that you probably won't see.
don't depress me.
All right, you take care of yourself.
Later.
Bye.